Hey, what's going on, guys? CMK here. In this video, I'm going to be installing TinyCore Linux onto my laptop. So goodbye Linux Mint, welcome TinyCore Linux. So I've migrated from Linux Mint to TinyCore Linux a couple of days ago, and after the community actually helped me to create this simple screen recorder extension, I can now do literally whatever I could do on Linux Mint, but on TinyCore Linux it's less size. I can consider whatever packages I want. I can build system on my own, so I'm completely free to use the software instead of being used by the software. So the next step is to burn the bridges completely, and just to make sure that I don't need. So now currently I just booted from the USB flash drive, and I have the home directory in my USB flash drive as well, the packages directory, TCE directory, so called. So I can like store the sessions. Even if I install new package, it would get stored on my USB flash drive. But I'm quite tired of like every time pressing F12 on my laptop to go to the boot mode, like to boot from the USB flash drive every time. So I want my computer to boot into TinyCore Linux, and I don't want any other Linux system being available there. So I want to completely migrate to TinyCore Linux. So here in the tinycorelinux.net install.html, so here is the guide on what you can consider. So as they mentioned here, so your custom installation might be a little bit different. So I'm going for a little bit custom installation because I already have my set of the packages that I call CMK Linux, that's for CMK Linux, those packages that I actually use. And there is an entire ISO, my GitHub, there would be a link in the description below. So I'm not gonna be installing like this Wi-Fi and firmware, for instance, somewhere here, not sure where exactly, because I already have that in my TCE folder. So I would just copy, like, to give reference for entire folder. And I would be talking through the installation. I never done this before, so this is completely kind of live thin. So we'll see how likely it goes. Anyways, without further ado, let's actually start. The very first thing to consider is to get this TC installed, which I don't currently have, but I can use the application browser. So here is the application browser, and if you want to open this, so here is the apps. So if you download CMK Linux, it's available here. If you download some existing TinyCore Linux distributions, also should be available, but also maybe in TC install could be available potentially. Anyways, go into the apps, and I'm looking for TC install. So let's have a look. TC install and TC install GUI. I'm wondering Feltiki GUI install Frugal USB. Okay, TC install GUI. Well, I'm not quite sure. Now let's try TC install GUI. Even though they both seems like original GUI TinyCore installer supports Frugal USB HDD selectable methods. So which 216, 217? Yeah. So this one seems to be a bit more up to the date. So let's install this one, and here is the installation going. And after, I think the year, yeah, okay, it's got installed. So here I should have the TC. Have the TC installed? Probably, maybe. Hold on a sec. Let me just quickly. Okay, I don't. But anyways, if I say TC install, oh, it's a shell. Okay, sudo core installation. Well, hold on a sec. I'm not quite. Now let's. It's probably I need to explicitly say the GUI unless. Can I do some help here? Nope. Okay, then maybe really simple screen recorder. No. Maybe really I need to consider the GUI version. Well, I would have personally go for this like terminal version, but for the sake of clarity and simplicity, let's try the TC install GUI instead. So let's go for this one, and probably it should, yeah, and yeah, we got this TC install. So now it's exactly like in the online reference. Great. So download from internet, path to core GZ. So this should be the path to the core GZ is the root file system archive that is now currently available on my USB flash drive. So I'm going to mount, and I'm wondering, do I really have to the mount tool? I'm not sure whether I should activate SD 1 and 2, but since it's going to be formatted, I think that it's not really essential. So I'm going to mount SDB, which is my USB flash drive, then boot, and here is my Core Pure 64GZ, which is the root file system. It's already installed on my USB flash drive, so here I say OK. Fraggle is the exact thing I'm going to be installing. Now, it's possible to install TinyCore Linux along with whatever existing Linux distribution you have, but in this case you probably should do this existing partition, and you see like this my SDA2 and SDA1. Well, SDA1 is a swap partition, which is not on the card, but SDA2 could be the thing. But I don't want that. I want to install I want to install the whole disk. So in this case, I consider SDA, which is my hard drive. And I do want to install the bootloader, so I would erase completely everything. I'll format this my HDD, whatever is there is gonna die. So before considering this step, make sure if you want this, make sure you back up all the data, all the information somewhere. Well, I don't have anything useful there, so I can just go straight ahead without any doubts. So install the bootloader, yes. So formatting options, yes, ext4 is the preferred thing, so I want to make it ext4. All right, now TinyCore accepts the following persistence. Okay, so boot codes. Now boot codes is an interesting thing. So just to give you an idea what boot codes I currently have, so just go to my USB flash drive. So if I say CD and mount CD SDB ls, now CD to boot, and to ISO Linux and ISO Linux config. So let's say cat ISO Linux config. So here are the boot codes I have. So I was waiting for USB to make sure that it gets loaded before so that I can later load the home directory, like TCE packages from there. Home is also about to be considered as well as the op directory. But since it's going to be running on the hard drives, it's going to be on persistent anyway. I think I didn't yet try this, but something tells me that it should be the case. So probably the only thing I want to have here is to blacklist the PC speaker to avoid getting annoyed by this bip that goes like ASCII character 7, I guess, maybe not. And I want to show apps, so to make sure that those packages kind of running that it would be seen on boot. So and also user and host. So I say user equals to CodeMonkeyKeen, host equals to Linux. So I get this nice CMK Linux like this. You can specify whatever you want here. You can avoid specifying that. In that case, most likely we'll just create a TC user, which stands for TinyCore user, like the default user. But that would be most likely under the root privileges, so it might be a little bit inconvenient if you want to share the data between, like, from to the USB flash drive, for instance. So it's when you have the user, it's easier to share the data, from my personal experience. So now I'm wondering, so probably TCE should be going to SDA. I'm not quite sure, but if it creates like SDA1, SDA2, not quite sure. Well, for now, I can change it later. So as they say as they've been mentioning in, I'll reclose that, but they have been mentioning the installation guide that this boot codes can be altered later. So it's not a big deal. If you miss something here, it's not a big deal. So for now, I just want to say blacklist PC speaker PC speaker, and I want to show apps. So yeah, I don't specify, well, I'm not quite sure. Should I really? DC app directory. Maybe I should specify. I don't know. I don't really know. So let's try to say TCE equals to SDA. Home equals to SDA, so that I could reuse my existing home directory, which contains all the settings. And opt equals to, yeah, because otherwise it would be just on a virtual file system. So yeah, probably I should consider, I'm not quite sure, home opt, yeah, so user host, I don't use wait USB because I'm not going to be running from USB, it's going to be hard drive. And by the way, what do they, no, restore, wait USB, wait for slow USB devices. Yeah, okay, so for hard drive it shouldn't be, I guess, on the cards. So again, user host blacklist, got it. Show like, okay, TC SDA, home SDA, opt SDA, show apps. Yeah, let me just put the blacklist from here and before the show app, so that the structure is quite similar. So user host TCE home opt blacklist and show apps. This should be fairly enough. Okay. Yeah, now it's another interesting thing. I don't install, yeah, so install extensions from TCE CDE directory. So yeah, this is what I've been thinking about. So like probably, since it tells me to do so, okay guys, I just take a risk, because since it's not running on the USB, I just get rid of this probably. I'm not quite sure if this is a good idea, but let's try. So this is my very first time. I'll let you know later how it goes. Host CMK blacklist. Yeah, so since it's asking me for TCE directory anyways, I just can provide the directory because I have this at mount, SDB, and TCE folder. So what should I, from TCE? So optional TCE. I think this should be now, because there is an input list which is probably gonna be copied as well, I think. So TinyCore installation review. So source is, so this is the root file system, type Froggle, target SDA, formatting to ext4, options user host blacklist, and install TC directory, mount SDBTC. Well, it looks good. And after I click this proceed button, bye Linux Mint, bye my hard drive, so it should be completely erased. So go back again. Are you ready for this? Yes, I am. Okay, so now it's formatting my hard drive. So yeah, that's it. And it might take time, and I probably paused the recording because my USB flash drive doesn't have that enough memory to store, because it's writing now, currently it's writing to USB flash drive. So let me just pause the recording for a while. Okay guys, so it tells me that the installation has been completed, and I really hope it is. So the only thing I can currently check there out is go to mount tool. I can try some refresh. It now only has SDA1 on my hard drive, so it doesn't use swap partition, or I'm not quite sure. So let's have a look. So hopefully I just mounted this as SDA1, and I want to see what is currently happening on my hard drive before rebooting. So let's cd to mount and list what is there. Well, actually it still has SDA2. I'm not quite sure what is in the SDA2. Nothing there, right? and SDA1. Okay. So I got this last plus file, which I would just destroy later, I believe. TC folder, and I'm not quite sure where are the files, the Linux files themselves. It's a little bit strange. Okay. It's a little bit strange. Or, well, actually, well, probably. So if I go to SDA1, so what is in the last plus found should be fairly empty. Yeah, it is. So I'll delete this later on. So let's go to TC. Okay, so everything goes into the TC folder. That's good. That's good. So I got the boot here. So list my boot. Yes, I have everything here. That's so cool. That's so cool. X Linux cd boot X Linux. So I have this X Linux conf where I can alter my boot codes, I believe. So X Linux conf. Yes. Well, actually, whoa. Interestingly, yeah. So it has okay. It provides the TC folder automatically here, which is great. And for some reason, it makes the wait USB for what? Does it go for? Is it gonna try to use my USB flash drive for? Is it going to try to take the packages from the flash drive? I'm really wondering. So how to check this out? So at very least I can check whether it actually did copy. Okay, let's have a look at on boot list. Well, I have all the packages here, which is satisfying, including the simple screen recorder, which is good. And optional cd optional list. Yeah, it seems like I have all the packages being copied to the hard drive. So yeah, I don't know if it's using the wait USB for hard drive. It's a little bit strange because hard drive is not a USB. But anyways, let's actually try to reboot and see if it works. So if it does, I'll then connect two videos into one and show you guys. So on YouTube, you're gonna see like the next part of the video is gonna be like recorded from already installed version. So yeah, see you just right in a moment. Okay, guys. So I've just copied the home folder to my hard disk drive. It was quite a bit challenging. I spent about 2 hours to do that properly, and all the disaster was because I didn't copy with preserving the permissions for files and folders recursively. So I will now try to show you my current setup. So I've changed a few things, which is absolutely essential if you want to have a persistent home folder while running on the HDD, running this CMK Linux on HDD drive. So here, yeah, it's just not where I want to go. So I'm going to CD mount, and yeah, by the way, the mount tool already shows. I just disabled my USB flash drive. I just put this to the back already, and this is only the only partition that my HDD drive has, right? So I can change directory to mount, and this is my hard disk drive. So CD to SDA1. And here's what I have. So I had this home and opt directories being created, but not automatically. I need to change something to do this. So again, we go into TCE, and we are going to boot, and we're going to X Linux. And them, and by the way, I don't no longer need this. Well, actually, I can show you the difference. The X Linux conf that it was, and this one is the one was there, and this one is that I've changed manually. So let's start with the previous one. So X Linux conf. So it looked like this. Let me just probably make it. Oh, how I love this system. How I like this. How I love this Linux. It's amazing. It's really amazing. So so it auto-generated strings like this, where this this big number is. I think that's the volume of my HDD drive, the volume ID or something. So I've changed this. And it didn't initially have the it only had the TCE folder here, and it didn't have the neither home or opt. And those home is must have. Opt we can potentially want to change if, say, you want to run the dbus to connect the pulse audio to. I didn't do this because it doesn't quite necessarily need it for my needs, but you might want that. So yeah, and the next one, so now this X Linux conf is the actual that currently works on boot. So now I have TCE changed to SDA1, which is the name of my partition, home SDA1 and opt SDA1. So once I did this, I then just reboot, and after this, after I reboot, it adds the home and it just adds this home and opt folders, because before that, before I changed this file X Linux conf, I only had the TCE folder, that's it. So after I added the home and opt directories, they have appeared. And then I needed to copy my home directory from the USB flash drive, or I also have one preserved on, oh my god, on Google Drive. But here is the very important thing. So let's consider so how to copy. So let's say just some imaginary path. So path to home, and then I want to copy this to mount SDA1 and home, like this, to replace this one with whatever preserved that is within the path. So what I need to do, obviously I need to do this recursively, because otherwise it won't just do anything. But what is even more important, I need to say -p, and -p allows to preserve the permissions for the files and the directories. So assuming that the root, the owners, who is the root, it has the owner called stuff here. So to make sure that it actually can be used by the system to boot from, it's absolutely essential to do this -p when you're copying the home folder from whatever source to this one. But obviously you might, if you're doing this for the very first time ever and you don't yet have your home directory, so in this case you just you will have this home directory auto-generated anyways, right? And just hold on a sec before I start demonstrating what is there in the home directory. I just go to the TCE, go into boot X Linux, and I just want to remove. I want to remove this X Linux conf. Yes. And I no longer have it. Yeah, because that was just I only preserved that to show you guys how this look like. Okay, now I can do cd to home just like this, clear, and it's already synced. So whatever I have here, and by the way, those videos have been recorded, so these guys go to YouTube to make it possible for you guys to see this video entirely. So if we say ls-a, here we have a bunch of useful files. So, well, I've copied here my vimrc, viminfo, GitHub credentials, and config. So these are auto-generated by Git if you do it, but I already just had those in my home folder. Anyways, so I just want to show you. So let's kickstart with, so say vim. Let's kickstart with X session. Vim X session. So here, here what I have. These two lines are needed to enable the terminus font. That's the font that you currently see in the terminal. It's not enabled by default. And after, if you're doing this for the very first time, you need to add these two lines. So make sure you see them. These two lines, and then you just reboot. And then after this, if you go to X session, X defaults, sorry, X defaults. In this case, here are my custom settings for the terminal. So I'm not using the scroll bar. I'm not using transparent background. Well, the title is the same, so I changed the foreground to black, background to gray, background to black, and here I'm using the font terminus 18, right? And this is the color to draw the folders. The folders would be blue. That's pretty much all about it. So this is my config file for the terminal. So feel free to do the same thing or alter it however you want. And the last but not least, and probably even more essential, is the profile. So this one is really essential because here I do two important things. So first, I'm initializing the audio by saying ls-cdl init. So by doing this, I can whenever I boot the system, let's say I open the web browser, go into YouTube, like clicking on the video, and I already have the sound playing in my web browser. Well, although Firefox is not using ELSA directly, it's using Pulse Audio instead. And even though I don't have the system-wide Pulse Audio daemon being available, but after Firefox, after I run Firefox, then if I try to run the Pulse Audio, it tells me that the daemon is already run. So I'm not sure whether the Firefox is firing that daemon or whatever. But anyways, if you don't have this line and you go to Firefox and just try to listen to the music on YouTube, for instance, so before you run this ls-cdl init command, the sound is not going to occur. Well, it isn't my system. This is so. I'm still quite new to how sound works on Linux, so I'm not sure if that's the best ever way to go. But this is something I've seen on a tutorial about Technical Linux on YouTube as well. So someone guy did this sort of a thing there. That's quite nice. And this line is really interesting because, well, I can't demonstrate you how the light is changing on my laptop because it's just a matter of the background light that doesn't affect the video recording. But with my eyes, I can actually see, like, is it brighter, like more bright or less bright. So here, changing this value from 0 to 60 thousandths and even more, a little bit. And writing this to the specific file called brightness. Within this path actually allows you to change the screen brightness. So this is my preferred one. And before I do this in the profile, the brightness is not actually being there, is not being adjusted. So just to make sure that this is always the case. Okay, and what else? Probably this is it. ls-a. Probably this is kind of it, I believe. Yeah, and whatever say Python packages I had in my user folder, in, let's say, cd to local less cd to lib. So here I had some Python packages, cd python, cd sci packages. Yeah, so I had some Python packages here being already installed. Like I've been using this initially on the USB flash drive, and there I couldn't write this to the root file system. Well, actually, here is the same thing, because the root file system is kind of, I want to say imaginary. It's imaginary. It's not really imaginary. It's just virtual at some point. Because again, like another important thing to consider. So if I cd to the root, I have this file system. However, this entire file system, this entire thing, actually physically it lives in the following place. So if I say cd mount and cd sda1 and cd tce, so this is the actual hard disk drive files. In here, where exactly? Hold on a second. Yeah, cd boot. Yeah, and here core pure 64gz. So I want to say that this file, this virtual file system actually lives in this archive, and on boot it gets like open at some point. And here only the home folder is actually like linked to this home folder, which is actually located on the hard drive. That's important. So if I now say now I'm recording the video, and it gets recorded into the hard drive. It's not going to virtual file system or something. It's getting exactly into the hard drive. So that's kind of it. So guys, yeah, goodbye Linux Mint. Hello TinyCore Linux. This is from my side. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the commentaries. And again, like TinyCore Linux has an absolutely fascinating community, so you can ask the questions on their forum as well. I'm really happy migrating to TinyCore Linux from Linux Mint, and yeah, this is really amazing. This is from my side. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, and take care.